Hey guys, continuing to work on Project Pontoon Boat, getting it ready to go in the water. We've got our 100 horse Yamaha 4-stroke that I put on last summer, and we need to do service on that. Follow along, hope you enjoy this one. Thanks. This is the model year 2000 Yamaha 4-stroke 100 horse that I put on Project Pontoon last summer. Replaced the Force 120 that came with the boat, and it was serviced prior to me getting the motor, and the lower unit blew up, so I got a replacement and all serviced lower unit put on. But I figure after using it last summer we should probably do the oil. The carburetors were drained last fall before I winterized the boat, so hopefully won't have any issues with scum built up in there. I've repressurized them already. We're going to take the cover off, give everything a good quick looking around, see if we can see anything that's going to be a problem. Then we'll put the muffs on, get this thing fired up and run it just to warm the oil up so that it's easy to get it out of there. And just a warning, never ever land run an outboard motor for even a couple of seconds without putting water to the water pump. You will kill your impeller and your water pump immediately if you try running it without having water hooked up. Here's our 4 carburetors all synchronized up. Don't see anything falling off there. Here's our fuel filter. It looks reasonably clean. No major catastrophes happening on the carburetors. The drains were opened and drained last fall before I put everything away. This is where the oil goes in. Here's our oil filter. This cover is loose. The tabs are kind of broken on it. I know that. We've got our coil packs. Everything looks good. This motor really looks nice and clean. And the motor's not really sitting level, but our oil level's good. It's got a little bit of color to it. Probably doesn't really need to be changed, but we'll change it anyways. That's more or less level, and we're just ever so slightly overfilled. All the wiring looks good. A few little spider webs and things, nothing major. We will, however, pop that cover off the top and take a look at the cam timing belt. This is a dual overhead cam motor, and we definitely don't want to lose the timing belt. Let me put you guys back on a stand, and I'll pop that cover off. To remove the cover, we've got 2 10mm head bolts up on the top here. And then we've got these kind of grommet clip type things on the corners at the back, and in the front we've got a similar idea. Cam belt looks really good. I don't see any issues there. No oil obviously leaking out of the top of the engine. I'd say everything looks pretty decent. I've got my oil catch bucket that we were using on the 18 horse. Our ratchet, we'll go up in there with a socket and see what we can find. To get the plug bolt out of there, we need a 14mm socket. And that sucker was snug. Should have been ready with a second bucket. Let me go grab another one. That definitely would have overfilled that first bucket. Matter of fact, we might end up getting into trouble with the second one. Plug is good and snug, kind of like it was before. Let me get some rags and stuff, and we'll wipe up all this spilt oil. Makes the paint shine up nice anyways. We got our oil filter. Something tells me it is going to be annoying about coming out of there. Given how tight the drain plug was, I expect that this has been torqued on to maximum as well. Hey, at least it's a Wix filter. Let me see if I can dig up an oil filter wrench and put on that and back it off. Hopefully this filter wrench will work. Ooh, that's tight. It is working. There's no need to torque oil filters down. Snug is good. There's our oil filter, nice little one. Doesn't appear to be a whole bunch of oil laying in the bottom of it. That's good. Good only that it makes cleaning things up easier. We look for we don't see any big scratches or anything in there. The threads all look good. I think we can put the new filter on. So here's our new oil filter, genuine Yamaha. Notice we've got an O-ring on here. It's got a little bit of grease on it. And I used to work for a mechanic way back when. He always said use grease on oil filter seals instead of motor oil. If you use motor oil, they can tend to kind of pucker and they'll actually glue themselves to the block, making them more difficult to get off. So this has a little bit of grease on it. That should be good, right from the factory. And we'll just thread that on. Now we've got contact, and you know, it doesn't have to be torqued on there. One thing we do need to do though, we put today's date on. So it is June 19, 2022. Oil and filter. Now when I come back to look at this next year, I can say, hey, that has only 1 year with limited use. Do I need to change it again? The answer is probably going to be yes, but at least I will know when the oil was changed last. I don't have to guess. Now we need to move you guys around to the oil fill and we'll get some fresh oil in this thing. This is a brand new funnel, so I don't have to worry about any crap and corruption down in it. However, if I was using a used funnel, I would want to make sure that I didn't have any bits and garbage stuck down on the throat of the funnel. And we've got genuine Yamalube oil from Amazon. I'll throw an affiliate link to that down in the description in case somebody wants to order some of this in. Kind of got to take it slow. The throat on this funnel is a little on the small side, so just let it pour in here. We'll get this dumped in and we'll check and see where our level is. Given how much oil we took out, I'm guessing we're probably going to need another one of these. Now you can see here we're up to this point on the dipstick. I would like to have it here, but I don't have another couple liters of oil to dump in this. Just got the one jug. So when you're doing your own oil change on one of these motors, please remember that you're going to need probably 6 liters or 6 quarts of oil instead of the 4 quarts that I got. Before we do that, however, I want to take a grease gun and pump up the zerks. There's 1 or 2 on the swivel base, and then there's a couple on the left as well. So let me reposition you guys so you can see what I'm doing, and we'll get those dealt with. Right here mid-screen, we've got a zerk fitting. Take a rag and wipe the worst of the scum off of there. Make sure we're not packing a bunch of dirt into the swivel bushing. Likewise, do the same thing to the grease gun. Put the grease gun on there and we'll give it a few pumps. Seems to be taking grease, and I can hear grease popping and farting. Definitely thirsty. Okay, we're getting grease out at the top. Wipe up the end of the grease gun so it doesn't get any worse. Now wipe up the excess grease, because excess grease collects dirt. Dirt causes wear and tear, so we'll get this all cleaned up and then we'll hit a couple more. Wipe up any grease I can see in the coming out of the swivel bearing or swivel bushing. The check ball doesn't seem to be working very well on this zerk. As I move it back and forth, I can see a little bit of grease kind of hydraulicing out of there. That's not great. Hopefully it will seal itself up. Let me see if I can get you guys in a position to look at the other 2 that we have to do. Not really obvious on the camera, but there's a Zerk fitting here and a Zerk fitting here. This is for the tilt bushings. Getting that a little bit of a wipe down at the worst. Yeah, let's give that a little squirt. And we've got a little bit of grease coming out of the seam. And we got a little bit of grease coming out of the seam between the two halves. Let me wipe all that up so we don't make a bigger mess than we already have. That looks pretty good. Another thing I want to check before we put any power to this, check the lower unit, see if there's any water in there. This lower unit was put on last summer. It was a used lower unit. The one that came on the motor when I bought it blew up about the second time I had the boat in the lake, and the dealership went good, replaced the lower unit with a used unit, and they tell me that they did the seals and the water pump, so this should be good, but still we need to check and see if there's any water in there. By tilting it up the way we are, any water should have settled. Oh, we got oil coming out of there. I would say there is no water in the bottom of the lower unit. That's a good sign. We'll check our level next, and we'll see where we're at. I've got a fresh quart of oil. We can dump some in if we need to. Given that this was serviced, we'll say end of July, beginning of August last year, I'm not in a big rush to get it. It was probably only in the water maybe half a dozen times after it was after I received this lower unit. So let's check the level in the lower unit, make sure we've got an adequate amount of oil. Unfortunately, the way that we have to check the lower unit oil level on this motor is essentially we have to fill it up. You know, take the lower plug out. That'll give us a chance to look at the magnet that's on there. I've got a quart or a liter of the proper Yamaha gear case oil, and I got a fitting. This came off of a hydraulic jack oil bottle, but it fits on this bottle, so that'll be just fine. We'll squirt that in there. As soon as we get the fill bottle up into this lower fitting, we'll pull the plug out of the top here, and then we can force it in until we start to get a little bit of oil coming out of there. Given that we didn't have any water in there, and given that this was serviced last summer, I'm not anticipating that we're going to need much in the way of oil, but it is still a good idea to check this. I don't feel like rebuilding another lower unit like I had to on the Force. Crack that one loose. I'll crack this one loose. Ooh, that's in there. Let me grab a wrench to put on there so that we can get a little more leverage. 5/16 wrench fits on the shaft of the screwdriver quite nice. And given that we've got oil coming out of the hole, I think we're in good shape. Unfortunately, the screw decided that it wanted to land in the bucket of oil that I've got sitting down underneath to catch everything. Now we need to get that bottom plug put back in. We use the 5/16 wrench to put a little bit of a oomph on it, because I don't want that coming out when we're going down the lake. Good and snug. Now I guess I grab a magnet to get the fill plug out of the old oil. Sometimes you just have to be able to laugh at yourself. Let me get this mess cleaned up. And we'll give it just a little bit of with the wrench so that it's good and snug, and wipe up our mess. And probably not necessary, but let's put a little mark on here anyways. 2022. Now I know that it's been done. Well, let me get this all this stuff cleaned up. Then I'll bring the water hose and earmuffs over, and we'll fire this thing up and see how it runs. I already said this once in this video, but absolutely positively never run an outboard motor or a liquid cooled outboard motor without putting water to the water pump inlet. The impeller in the water pump is rubber, and you will take it out in seconds if it doesn't have water going to it. We've got good flow of water there. So let's go up on the boat and see if this thing will start. Got you guys all set up to watch the motor. Oil level is good after it turning over a bit. For some reason it's not firing. Fuel bulb is filled the carburetors up. Oh, there we go. Got good water coming out of the side. No indications of any oil leaks. And it was a little grumpy about getting started, but once we got it started, it seems to be doing pretty well. Went into forward with no problem. Let's try reverse. Well guys, I think we have a functional outboard motor. We're going to call this video here. I think we got enough content, and thanks a lot for stopping by. Appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up if you got this far in the video, and if you want to see more stuff from Doug's Messy Garage, why don't you hit that subscribe button, maybe ring that bell icon, and we'll catch you in the next mess. A little bit of bonus footage here. Last summer I put these really nice folding boat seats on the project pontoon. They're a nice gray, kind of two-tone gray. I plan on converting the boat over to a gray color, so they'll go quite nicely. But unfortunately they're not really removable. They're not in a modern style mount which you can unscrew a thumb screw underneath and lift them off easily. So I'd heard of people using barbecue covers, and I stopped by Fleet Farm, picked up Weber barbecue covers. Let's see how they fit. This is the 18-inch size one. We got Velcro strip. We've got Velcro only on one side. It would be nice if we could wrap this all the way around and reattach the Velcro to itself, and it just catches. A little bit loose, but that'll definitely keep the sun off of the seat. Let me get the other seat covered up and we'll be good to go. Thanks a lot for watching.